Garrick seems to have a very singular focus when it comes to Roberta and starting a family, no matter what the cost. And Dannielle is doing her absolute darndest to make sure that Garrick does not leave and start another life in Brazil. Let's talk about some of the latest misadventures of the Merrifields. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. I don't think I've ever worn my hair out of my face on my YouTube channel yet, but today was just not a day for hair, so it's just slicked back. So if I look different, that's probably why. If there is one thing that I am absolutely sure of in season 4 of Seeking Sister Wife is that Garrick has fallen absolutely in love with Roberta, and the circumstances that are keeping them apart are taking a toll on him. And for her part, Dannielle has sort of made a shift. Instead of trying to rid herself of her jealousy or be delivered from her jealousy, she is now fully into the polygamy lifestyle, and it seems like she's doing whatever it takes to keep Garrick in the United States and to not have him abandon her and her children. I mean, the stakes could really not be any higher for the Merrifields. And of course, the saddest part of all of this is that they have 2 kids that are becoming collateral damage to these adults' shenanigans. Even though we've only been following the Merrifields for a couple years, they were first introduced to us on season 3 of Seeking Sister Wife. This journey for them to add Roberta to their family has been like a 4-year, I think it's going on 5-year journey at this point. At the time we were introduced to them, Garrick had already been engaged to Roberta for a year. All I'm saying is that is a lot of time that all parties involved have invested into this situationship. It seems like Dannielle is really starting to get the feeling that Roberta is scamming them somehow. At least that's what's being heavily insinuated on the show. And Garrick, I mean, we hardly saw him show any emotion in season 3, and now he can like barely keep it together. Anytime he speaks to Roberta, he cries. Anytime Roberta is even brought up, he gets really emotional. And I can't help but notice that it's quite astonishing that in the 4 years that they've been interacting with Roberta, the Merrifields have made very little progress in learning Portuguese.
Bom dia.
Yeah.
Bom day.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good day.
Bom dia.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Oh, bom dia. Good morning. Good day.
And Roberta is not incredibly fluent in English, but I will say I think she has made bigger strides than the Merrifields have. What is absolutely frustrating and dumbfounding is that Garrick seems to have very little concern for the actual logistics of being with Roberta. He just wants to be with her and start making babies. And I'm gonna be honest, it's a little shocking to hear him be so flippant about the practicality of these circumstances when he's already lost the entire side of his family to plural marriage.
When my family found out that me and Dannielle felt that God wanted us to live a plural lifestyle, it didn't go well. They basically disowned us. You know, they thought Dannielle wanted to be a lesbian, that I was just some kind of sex maniac. Me and Dannielle were both demon-possessed. It definitely hurt, but we knew that we couldn't give up Roberta. We just realized we ain't gonna go with the hate, we're gonna go where the love is.
His entire family cut ties with him and said some pretty rude things about him and Dannielle. This is not only devastating news for him, but this really is a bummer for Dannielle and has ripple effects for his children. I've often talked about the fact that I get frustrated with some of these couples on Seeking Sister Wife because it doesn't seem like the kids in these families always get taken into consideration as much as they should when the adults are making some pretty big life changes. Season 3 of Seeking Sister Wife was when we first met the Merrifields. The Merrifields literally got divorced so they could embark on this journey of bringing Roberta to the United States. And let us not forget that Garrick was fully willing to move to another country if her visa didn't get approved so that they could be together.
What if they say no?
Well, then,
That she can't come into the country?
I mean, we've already thought then that could cause us as a family to have to move to a whole other country.
Astonishing. I mean, it's just really astonishing. I mean, here we have Garrick's family has cut ties with him, and now he is fully willing to sacrifice the only other family his kids have left so that he can be with Roberta. It honestly leaves me at a loss for words. So last season, probably one of the biggest takeaways was that Dannielle was clearly not ready for plural marriage. She spoke of her jealousy often, how it was something she was dealing with, and we witnessed numerous moments of emotion from Dannielle, when in those same moments, we saw very little emotion from Garrick. One example being their divorce hearing. When I started watching season 4, a couple things really surprised me with the Merrifields. One was just how enthusiastic Dannielle had become about adding wives. It seemed to me to be more of a sort of maybe a revenge on Roberta, or maybe like a middle finger to the whole process. And another thing that really surprised me this season was just how much emotion we've seen from Garrick. Whenever Garrick speaks to or about Roberta, he gets very emotional, and I just think it's really obvious that he is absolutely in love with her. It's quite the stark contrast to last season when he literally was divorcing his wife of 13 years and he barely showed any sadness. So what if, and I'm speculating here, Dannielle's newfound enthusiasm for polygamy is more about keeping Garrick in the United States and less about the actual thought of plural marriage? Because so far, we've seen Leah, who had absolutely no chemistry with Garrick. I get the feeling that she's not seeking out women that are going to find Garrick appealing. I mean, just look how absolutely shooketh Dannielle gets when Garrick doesn't see a problem with getting Roberta pregnant before she comes to the US.
So, should she never have kids?
You'd be okay with her having kids in Brazil?
I wouldn't like that. But would I rather us start having kids?
But you'd be
or-
okay with the fact of her staying in Brazil and having babies there?
So say the worst case scenario happens. We're not going to quit being family. So what do we wait 5 years to have kids?
I really feel like Dannielle thought she found the workaround. You know, build the polygamy dream home, move the only family, the only in-laws, the only grandparents your kids have left, move them literally onto the property, make this a sort of polygamy utopia. But Garrick is like, yeah, all of this is cool, but I still really want to go bang Roberta in Brazil, and I don't really care if it's all a bunch of bureaucratic red tape. And then it dawns on Dannielle that this fool is really down with living a double life, like having parallel families. This isn't about polygamy, and this isn't about one big happy family. Luckily for Dannielle, we already know the outcome of this debacle. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen my previous videos on the Merrifields, but things don't work out with Roberta. She's no longer communicating with the Merrifields, and it doesn't look like the Merrifields have been courting any other sister wives, because all we see on their social media is them living very happily monogamously. Garrick reminds me of, I feel like we've all either been in a relationship or have known someone in a relationship where the other person, their partner in that relationship, is just awful. They're super distant. They're clearly pushing either you or your friend away so that you will be the one in the relationship because for some reason they're too chicken shit to break up with you themselves. A good example is Cody Brown. I mean, Cody Brown literally says that he is not allowed to divorce his wives, but he can treat them absolutely horribly, it seems, like in the hopes that they will leave him. And I feel like Garrick displays some of those characteristics here. I feel like he thought he could push Dannielle to leave him by introducing her to this lifestyle, by clearly making this not about any of her wants and needs, purely about him, by not even taking his kids into consideration. He thought he would push Dannielle away, and she just Uno reversed his ass big time. Garrick had put in motion all of these things to start a new life, essentially, and Dannielle just foiled all of his plans. What do you guys think of this? I mean, this has been quite the journey for the Merrifields, from them getting divorced to now they are actually in Brazil, trying to get Roberta book her ticket to the United States. Do you guys think Roberta could be scamming here? Do you think Dannielle is orchestrating things much more cleverly than Garrick is even aware? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.